thyme benefits, uses, and how to grow it at home. Have you ever looked at thyme and thought, it's just a tiny herb? How important could it really be? Well, the answer is actually pretty important. Thyme is one of those herbs that quietly shows up in the background of soups, roasted meats, garden beds, herbal teas, and traditional remedies, and once you start paying attention to it, you realize it does a lot more than most people give it credit for. In today's video, we're going to talk about what thyme is, how to use thyme in cooking, how to grow thyme at home, and why this little herb has been valued for generations in both kitchen and herbal traditions. If you've ever wanted to really understand thyme and feel confident using it, this one is for you. So, what is thyme? Thyme is a fragrant herb from the mint family, and it's known for its small leaves, woody stems, and strong, earthy aroma. It has been used for thousands of years in food and traditional herbal practices, and it remains one of the most useful herbs you can keep around. Its flavor is savory, slightly minty, and depending on the variety, sometimes a little lemony too. There are several types of thyme, including common thyme, lemon thyme, French thyme, and German thyme, and each one brings a slightly different character to the table. Some are better for classic savory cooking, while others work beautifully in tea, seafood, or lighter dishes. That flexibility is part of what makes thyme such a dependable herb for home cooks and gardeners alike. Why thyme deserves more attention. One of the biggest reasons thyme deserves more attention is that it is incredibly practical. In the kitchen, you can use it in soups, stews, sauces, roasted vegetables, pasta, stuffing, chicken, fish, beef, and even bread or egg dishes. It has the kind of flavor that makes food taste more complete, more layered, and more homemade without requiring a lot of effort. Another reason people love thyme is that it's not fussy. It grows well in the right conditions, it stores well, and it can be used fresh or dried. That means whether you're a gardener, a cook, or someone who just wants to keep a few useful herbs in the pantry, thyme fits naturally into your routine. How thyme tastes and smells. Thyme has a flavor that is hard to mistake once you know it. It's earthy, warm, herbal, and a little minty, with some varieties carrying a brighter citrus note. The smell is strong and comforting, which is why thyme is so often used in dishes that are meant to feel hearty, cozy, and full of depth. That aroma is also one of the reasons thyme works so well in slow cooking. When thyme heats up, it releases even more of that herbal scent, which helps build richness in soups, braises, and sauces. It's one of those ingredients that doesn't shout for attention, but if you leave it out, you'll notice something is missing. Thyme in the kitchen. If you're new to cooking with thyme, the easiest place to start is with simple savory meals. Add it to roasted potatoes, carrots, chicken, fish, or soup, and you'll immediately see how it deepens the flavor. Thyme also pairs well with garlic, onion, rosemary, oregano, lemon, and black pepper, so it blends easily into all kinds of familiar recipes. Fresh thyme is wonderful when you want a bright herb flavor, while dried thyme is especially useful in dishes that cook for a long time. If you're making something that simmers on the stove or roasts in the oven, thyme is a great herb to reach for because its flavor holds up beautifully over time. One simple tip is to start small. Thyme is flavorful enough that you usually don't need much, especially if you're working with dried thyme. A little can go a long way, and that makes it one of the most efficient herbs in the kitchen. Thyme tea and herbal use. Thyme is also widely used in herbal tea traditions, and that's something a lot of people don't realize until they start exploring herbs more deeply. Thyme tea has a bold, earthy, slightly savory taste, and many people enjoy it with honey, lemon, or ginger to make it feel a little softer and more comforting. Traditionally, thyme has been used for things like coughs, sore throats, digestive comfort, and respiratory support. Some sources also point to thyme's antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties, which helps explain why it has been respected in herbal traditions for so long. It's one of those herbs that has found a place in both the kitchen and the wellness cabinet. Some sources also point to thyme's antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties, which helps explain why it has been respected in herbal traditions for so long. It's one of those herbs that has found a place in both the kitchen and the wellness cabinet. Of course, if you're using thyme for wellness purposes, it's important to be thoughtful and informed. Herbs can be helpful, but they're still powerful plants, so it's always smart to check with a qualified professional if you're pregnant, nursing, taking medication, or dealing with a health condition. Health benefits of thyme. Thyme is often talked about for its potential health-supporting properties, and there's a reason for that. It contains compounds such as thymol, which has been studied for antimicrobial effects. Thyme has also been associated with traditional support for respiratory comfort, digestion, and general wellness routines. Some references also note that thyme contains nutrients such as vitamin C, vitamin A, iron, calcium, magnesium, and manganese. You're not usually eating huge amounts of thyme at once, but even in small amounts, it contributes more than flavor alone. That's one of the reasons people keep it around not just as a spice, but as a valued herb. What makes thyme especially appealing is that it sits right at the intersection of food and traditional herbal use. You can cook with it, drink it, grow it, and explore it as part of a natural lifestyle, which gives it a kind of everyday usefulness that's hard to beat. Growing thyme at home. Thyme is a fantastic herb to grow at home because it prefers conditions that are easy to provide. It does best in full sun, with well-draining soil and not too much water. In fact, thyme generally prefers to dry out a bit between watering, which makes it a great plant for people who don't want something overly needy. You can grow thyme in a garden bed, raised bed, or container, and that makes it flexible whether you have a large yard or just a small patio. If you're growing thyme indoors, it needs strong light like a south-facing window or a good grow light, so it can stay healthy and compact. Good drainage is important either way. When planting thyme outdoors, it's best to wait until the danger of frost has passed, and the plants should be spaced so they have enough room to spread. Once established, thyme is drought-tolerant, hardy, and low-maintenance, which is another reason it's such a favorite among herb gardeners. Harvesting thyme is simple too. You can snip stems as needed, but it's best not to cut back too much at one time. Regular harvesting can actually help keep the plant productive and encourage fresh growth, so thyme rewards you for using it. Easy, everyday ways to use thyme. If you want to use thyme more often, the best approach is to keep it simple and repeatable. Add it to soup when it's simmering, toss it on vegetables before roasting, mix it into chicken or fish marinades, or add it to sauces and stews. Those are the kinds of everyday uses that make thyme feel natural instead of intimidating. You can also use thyme in more creative ways, like thyme butter, herb blends, salad dressings, or even flavored oils and vinegars. Making thyme butter is an incredibly easy way to elevate steaks, roasted vegetables, or fresh bread. You only need 2 core ingredients: softened unsalted butter and fresh thyme leaves, plus a pinch of salt. Some people also use thyme in tea, baths, simmer pots, or homemade kitchen preparations, which shows just how flexible it really is. The more you use thyme, the more you'll notice how well it fits into different parts of your life. It's not one of those herbs you use once and forget. It's the kind of herb that quietly becomes part of your regular rhythm. Thyme may be small, but it has a lot going for it. It's flavorful, useful, easy to grow, and deeply rooted in both cooking and herbal tradition. Whether you love herbs for their taste, their garden value, or their wellness history, thyme is one of those plants that deserves a place in your home. So, if you've been overlooking thyme, now is a great time to start paying attention. Try it in your next soup, plant it in your garden, or steep it into a cup of tea, and see why so many people keep coming back to it. Sometimes the smallest herbs are the ones that end up making the biggest difference. Thank you for joining us for practical herbal education, plant growing tips, and natural remedy ideas. Please hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe, and share with someone who enjoys herbs and gardening as much as we do. And if you enjoyed this video and want more like it, please comment below. I would love to hear from you. Share your tips on how you use herbs in your everyday life.